Hey everyone, welcome to Stepping Stones to AAC Feelings. I'm so happy that you are here tonight. I changed up the classroom or the slide for this evening because we're talking about feelings. So, as I mentioned, if we haven't met, my name is Brittany Tony, and I am the Bitmoji that's crying because my ice cream fell on the floor. So, I am sad. And so, I just thought it would be kind of fun given the topic for this evening to kind of change things up. I am a speech language pathologist and I am the Saltillo consultant for Southwestern Ohio, Indiana, and Northern Kentucky. So welcome, and I'll let Heather Prenevo introduce herself as well and tell you a little bit more about our classroom.
Good evening, everyone. And now I feel sad that my Bitmoji looks like she's kind of smirking at your fallen ice cream, Brittany. Um,
That's
as,
okay, you're happy the other end of that.
yeah. Um, as Brittany said, I'm Heather Prenevo. I'm also a speech language pathologist by trade, and I am the AT consultant for Saltillo in Minnesota and Wisconsin. So I was kind of jealous when Brittany said it's gotten up to 60 in Ohio. We made it to 35 today, so I'm happy with that. And we're happy that you all are here to join us. A little bit about our Google Classroom or our Bitmoji classroom here is that we wanted to have a variety of activities available that people can come back and check out. And how do we model core vocabulary? So the bookshelf you see on the left is full of different activities. And in the chat window, Brittany had posted a bit.ly link that can take you to this interactive classroom. And so all the ones that we've done previously, you can click on those and it's going to take you to our recorded session of that. You can get the handouts there and watch those sessions. If it doesn't go anywhere, it means it's coming up. So there's still a few more left in our winter session. The poster in the background also takes you to a link on our Saltillo website where you're able to download the low-tech board that we use during our sessions. And if you click on the word go right behind Brittany there, that's going to take you to our Let's Teach core on the chat corner of our implementation website. So lots of great free resources for you to go check out after our class.
Okay, so just a reminder that tonight we just really want to remember that AAC is a journey. So this is just reminding us that we need to sometimes start small if our AAC user isn't, is new to AAC or you are new to AAC. It's okay to start small. It's a journey, so we're gonna go through this journey together, and your Saltillo consultant or PRC consultant is always here to help you. So, okay. So what are we going to do this evening? So tonight we're going to identify core words and strategies to model during a game targeting feelings. So tonight I'll show you in a little bit and we'll talk about it, but that's what we're going to do this evening. And we're going to walk through this form together. So this is our first form that we have, our first handout, and at the top you'll see there's different steps, and we're going to go through all those steps together. So choosing our core words, planning a question and comment, and then how you will model those. And this is something that you can use tonight to write down some thoughts as we go through this together, and then for you to take with you to use in therapy or at home or give to colleagues, or if your SLP isn't here tonight, hey, I went to this great training, here's the form that we use that I thought was helpful. So just something for you to share as well.
And this is the second one of our handouts. This one we call our Stepping Stones to AAC reference sheet. We'll go through each of these steps, like Brittany said, and talk about what to think about, why we want to do some of these things. But this reference sheet then just walks through those steps and kind of explains them again. So if you're like, oh, I used it, but I don't remember, why did we pick this word? Or what does it mean when they say plan a question? You can come back and refer to this and help walk you through. Or again, if you're taking this to hand off to colleagues or to hand to parents or your speech therapist or a teacher and say, hey, this is a strategy we could try, you'll be able to have this to take with you.
So let's start with Candyland and of course feelings, because that's why we're really here, right? So this is a little bit out of the box in terms of how we're going to be talking about feelings. I chose Candyland, and there's a game. There's something I found on Teachers Pay Teachers that was free. It's a way that you can play Candyland and talk about feelings at the same time. And I used to use this clinically with a lot of the students I work with autism spectrum disorder, who typically have a hard time talking about their feelings. So I used it with my verbal students. I use this with my nonverbal students, because talking about feelings is so important, especially with AAC users. I feel like that's one area where sometimes we've not necessarily forget, but it's harder to talk about that when maybe they aren't as verbal or they aren't able to tell you how they're feeling. So this was just a fun way. Also, I thought of this activity because it is geared a little bit more towards the more competent AAC communicators. So maybe someone who's in a stage 4, 3, 4, 5 communicator in terms of AAC, how they're using AAC, maybe using a few more words, maybe some sentences, also maybe some older AAC users, so not just early communicators, but that's another reason why I chose this activity. And feeling words can also be used in a variety of situations to describe. So we can talk about, how we feel about something. So not only how we feel emotionally about something, but how something feels. So if we use the word feel, how does it feel emotionally, but also how does that feel in terms of, is it rough? Is it smooth? We can also talk about, she is sad, that girl over there is sad, he is sad, he is happy. How are they feeling? How are you feeling? There's lots of different ways. Feelings are a great way to start in terms of getting your AAC user to describe things. And there's just many different creative ways you can talk about feelings. That's kind of why I chose this. And it is a little bit out of the box, but I'm excited about it. So
I'm excited.
I hope you guys. Yeah. Okay, and then this is our low-tech board. It's part of your materials. You'll find that in your handouts. This is Word Power 60 Basic. It's based off of Word Power 60 Basic. It's a 96 location low-tech board. I love using a low-tech board when I model. There, especially this one, there's a lot of core words on there, and there's a lot of other words that maybe on a device you might have to find, you might have to navigate to a couple of different locations, because on Word Power 60 Basic, our feelings would be, I feel, it'll navigate to the feelings, it'll be in like the social pages or describe pages. So with this low tech board, they're right there on the home page. So I just really like that for this reason. So follow along with me when I am playing the video to see if you can find some core words that I'm using in the video to talk about feelings, and then we're going to walk through that form that we showed earlier together. All right, just let me know if you have trouble hearing this, and I will try to troubleshoot. Okay, Ashley and I are going to talk about how we feel while playing the game Candyland. Okay, so I have these directions here that's going to tell us what feeling we're going to talk about when we land on that color. So red is angry. You don't want to be angry. Yellow is happy. Blue is sad. And if you land on a pink one, like these little pink squares here, you can tell me about a special day. Right, so you go first. Okay. You put the cards here. And then tell us what color you got.
I got red.
Red. Okay, so go to red. And then red says, here, go to red. Tell about a time you felt angry.
I was angry because sometimes Kenton just hits me.
Oh, I get angry when people aren't nice to me too, when they're mean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I get mad because Sissy gets on my back.
Okay.
Well,
Okay, next. Okay, next one. Oh, I got yellow. Let's see what yellow is. Yellow, tell me about a time you felt happy. I feel happy when I play games. I like to play games with you. That makes me happy.
Okay.
Your turn. Blue. Oh, wrong one. But you're right. Remember? You're red. Okay. The blue. Oh, tell me about a time you felt sad. You feel sad when
Carmen and Robin beat the
oh, when sometimes your friends call you names. That makes me feel sad too when people call me names. Okay. So disclaimer that was my daughter and my son in the background. Unfortunately, due to COVID, I can't video myself with AAC users, so sometimes they help me out, and they are 3 and 5. So, and as you noticed in the video and with the directions, I kind of pared this down a little bit and only used 3 feelings, just ones that they might understand, because purple is loved, orange is embarrassed, and green is anxious or scared. So those are a little bit more complex. So I did kind of pare that down a little bit. Okay, so what are some core words, 3 core words that you heard me using in the video?
I heard I.
Mm-hmm.
You guys can chat in the chat window. Any words you heard her using frequently? Feel, yep.
Yeah. I'll put that one.
And I always say if you are still learning what the core words are, what you might want to target, like Brittany mentioned earlier, looking at that low-tech board, most of those words on that board are going to be core words. So you can be on there. How, you, perfect.
Yeah. Good. I like that. Good job. Slide. Advance. There it goes. Okay. Okay, so now we're gonna choose some open-ended questions that we can ask to encourage our AAC user to communicate. So we're gonna write these down on our form. And if you're not familiar, an open-ended question is one that cannot be answered with just a yes or no response. So, for example, which one of these questions is open-ended? When do you feel mad? Or do you get mad when someone hits you? So which one can have the most responses, not just yes or no?
Perfect. When you get
When
mad. Or when do you feel mad?
Yep. Yeah. Good. Yeah. So when do you feel mad? Endless responses. I might feel mad at a different, when something different happens than when Heather might feel mad. When she might feel mad at a different time. And as you can see, my kids' responses, they were both relatively about each other. But when you ask something like, do you get mad when someone hits you? The answer, you can only really answer yes or no. So when we're talking about, and when we're modeling and talking to our AAC users, it's important to use those open-ended questions to encourage that spontaneous communication.
I like to also think of it as we don't know what they want to say or what they might want to answer that question with. And so using those open-ended questions, we give them that opportunity to find some of those things and tell us things. If we just gave them what we thought they wanted to say, and which is why we like core vocabulary, is we don't have to predict. We don't have to have what we think they want to say available. We can help guide them, but then they get to select. They get to answer the question.
Exactly. So let's think of some open-ended questions, and just note, I already chose some of these core words, but all of your responses were perfect as well. You can really take this however. So I chose feel, sad, and happy are kind of like one. I looked them together. And then when. These are all words on our low-tech board. So what's a open-ended question that we can use for feel?
We can use that example one. When do you feel mad?
Yep.
We could do how do you feel?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody have other questions? Either have, and you can have feel in the question, or it can be the answer to your question as well.
Yep.
How do you feel now? I like that one.
Like a follow-up after you've talked about how they feel. And, do you feel better? How do you feel now? Yeah. Great.
How does she feel? Nice, yes.
Good. Okay, what about for sad and happy? And you can interchange these. What's an open-ended question we could ask for sad or happy?
And it's okay if we repeat some of our questions. Why is she sad? He sad? Perfect.
Great.
What makes you sad? What makes you happy? Yes.
Good. Great. What about for when? What's an open-ended question we can use for when? And we can even use the one that we use for feel. When do you feel mad? It's sometimes good to repeat so they can see that, if you're modeling these questions, it's good for them to kind of see that repeat. I feel happy when. Yeah, that would be a great comment. Or they could respond, I feel happy when. Yep.
How does it feel when? Mm-hmm.
Okay, you guys are jumping ahead of me with these comments. So let me, we will put those, we'll do that when first. Okay, so comments. When you see your friends, how do you feel? Good. Oh, I like that one. Yes. When you something, how do you feel? Great. I love it.
You guys got
So
it.
comment. If your child is not yet responding to open-ended questions, you can model comments just like you guys showed us. So it's sometimes, if they're only saying one or two words, we might modeling those comments in response to your question is great. Or if they don't respond, and if you've paused for 10 or more seconds and they still haven't responded, this is a good time when you can model a comment. So we're going to write down a couple comments that you can model for your child that they could say in response to your question, and that's okay. So we can model that response for them, and that's okay. And then we can ask the question again to see if they answer. The thing to keep in mind is that we want to keep our comments at or just above their language level. And what we mean by that is no more than 2 to 3 words beyond how many they are currently saying. So if we have an AAC user who is using 4 words, for example, maybe we do a full sentence with 6 words. Or maybe we, bump it up to 8 words or something like that. So we want to make sure that, but if they're only using 1 or 2 words, maybe we're only modeling 3 words. Maybe we're only modeling 2 words if they're only using 1. So that's just something to keep in mind, just to not overwhelm them. Something else I wanted to bring up was, and it particularly when we talk about feelings, is something that I've heard of recently called responsive aided language input. So if you've heard of aided language input, aka modeling, responsive aided language input would be how you, as the communicator, looking at your AAC user while you're modeling or while you're talking to them and seeing, in this case, how they feel about something. So maybe you're watching a movie together, for example, and suddenly on their face they look scared, or maybe they cover their face. This would be a great time for you to notice what they're doing and say something like, "You look scared. Are you scared? How do you feel?" So that would be an example of responsive aided language input. So kind of taking in the whole situation and kind of looking at your AAC users or talking to them and noting how they feel about something. So if they're playing and all of a sudden they start crying, "You look sad. How do you feel?" Or, "Do you feel sad? What's wrong?" Something like that would be responsive aided language input. So I just wanted to note that as well, because we hadn't talked about that before. Just something that, especially when we're talking about feelings, might be something good to try.
Okay. It's always good with that too, making those connections. You mentioned earlier, Brittany, that sometimes it's hard to get them to understand feelings or know how to respond to those. And so making that connection verbally to them that, "Oh, I see you're crying. Crying, when I'm sad, we cry." And so that way they can say, "Oh, I connected this with this," for that responsive aided language input too.
Exactly. So let's start with when, since y'all just are so great. Let's scroll back up here. Some comments for when would be when, oh, I lost it now.
I feel happy when.
Oh, I feel, yes, thank you. Happy when, or whatever.
When you see blank, how do you feel?
Yeah, how does it feel when? Those are great comments. Okay. What about a comment for sad or happy? You can even use "I feel sad when."
Kind of based off of what we were just discussing. You look happy. Your smile tells me you're happy. Again, we're giving kind of some examples too of not just that starting out language level, but we've got kind of a nice variety tonight to show you those different levels depending upon where your child's language is at.
Any more for that? Okay, I'm gonna make sure we get to the next video. What about feel? What are some comments that we can use? And we can repeat this one, "I feel happy when." What are some other comments we can use for feel?
If we're at that lower language level, could just be "feel happy." We're modeling that.
Yep. Exactly.
Feel good. No ice cream mad.
Love it.
Feel mad.
Feel mad. Yes. Love that.
Or according to my Bitmoji, "I feel happy when your ice cream falls."
Yes. Okay, so this is the next step is finding where our words are and how we will model those on our low-tech board or on our client's device or AAC user's device. So as you see here, I've already filled out step 3. So based on those 3 core words that we chose, I guess 4 in this case, what our 2 or 3 word model can be. So those are just some examples, but you guys have already rocked it out, and just kind of tying everything in together. And then to find our words, I typically like to find these first so that when I am modeling with my client or AAC user, I know where they are. And as you'll see in the video, I misplaced the word feel because I was kind of looking at it upside down. So if you have a so there was a lag time when I was modeling, but if you have like a Post-it note, sometimes that's a good way, or just like a dry erase marker around the word that you're modeling is a great way to remember where those words are. So let's take a look at the video, and you're welcome to follow along and model with me. I'm using a low-tech board. It's actually the back of our calendar. So Just see if you can follow along and find those words.
And talk about our feelings. We have this paper here that's going to show us what feeling we're going to talk about based on what color we land on. So we're only going to use red.
And fast forward a bit.
And it's happy. And then we're going to also talk about blue.
What's a sad?
Aw, okay. So your turn, you go first.
I'm gonna pick red.
You got red?
Mhm.
Okay, so red is angry. When do you feel angry?
Because Bella gets on me a little bit.
Oh, you feel angry when Bella gets on you. Okay. All right, so go to red. My turn. I got yellow.
Happy.
Happy. When I feel happy, I get to play games with you. I feel happy when I play games with you. Okay, I'm going to go to yellow. Your turn. Blue. Yeah, that's right. We get to talk about when you feel sad. When do you feel sad?
Okay, I think you get the idea. All right. Okay, so after trying the steps with the video, do you have any questions? How did you feel about the practice? Any next steps? What did you think about that activity? Anything and everything. We like to hear it, so.
It's a great time to reflect and give feedback.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question, Amanda. Would you model on the device or only using a low-tech board? It depends on your AAC user. A lot of the times I do model on the actual device, especially if it's an early, I guess it also depends on what type of communicator your AAC user is. So if they're only using like a few words, like 1 to 3 words, I might model directly on the device so that they start seeing those pathways of how to get to some of those different words, especially in the example tonight, some of those words on a lot like happy and sad aren't on that home page. So that might be where I would model directly on the device. Where I might model on a low tech board would be, well, say we're going to the beach, we might not want to take your device with you, or I might also use a low tech board if maybe they're a little bit more fluent on their device. Maybe I just model a couple of those words on there, or say I've had AAC users who don't like me touching their device. I've had one that would go into a behavior if I touched it. I mean, like lay a finger on it. So in those cases, I would use a low tech board. So it's really up to you and what your AAC user is comfortable with. I would say if they are earlier modeling on the devices, I would say it is important. Hey, Rajul, I see your comment there. Thank you. Yeah, the biggest concern I have is lots of teachers say I feel with options for happy, mad, sad. Yeah, I agree. That happened to me a lot when I was working with the kiddos with autism, and yeah, I think it's really important that's why it's important to model those feelings and try to view how they're feeling, kind of that responsive aided language input. If you can tell why they're feeling that way, if you have an idea, it's just a great way to use that with modeling. Yep.